Okay, with that, we come to our first customer speaker, a company Wacker represented by Günther and Katerina. We have quite a long history with at least with Günther and Wacker Chemie. Katerina is quite new, but already a great expert on sfinx and IT financial management. I think we started working with and for Wacker Chemie in 2017 or 2018, doing the initial implementation of ITBM/SPM, having many discussions over the years, implementing application portfolio management, which became later enterprise architecture management. And Günther was actually the first German customer for sfinx. I knew already many years that he was running actually a standard software tool for IT financial management. He was not happy. He will probably talk about that in the presentation. And nevertheless, as a first customer in Germany, he was very brave. He and his team were very brave. And yeah, he will talk about how this went and if he's now happy or not. And he has been a great, great help in kind of like being like a co-developer, a strong collaborator on the development of things and already kind of like evangelizing other prospects on things. And with that, I would like to hand over to Katerina from the IT controlling of Wacker and to Günther, who's the ServiceNow platform owner of Wacker. Please.
Okay, thank you, Andreas. First of all, I would like to know how I can share my presentation. I hope it works like that, and you can see your presentation. Okay, now I have it in presentation mode. How would you see that?
I see it.
Oh, we see it.
Okay. Yeah, hello to everyone on within this meeting. I'm really happy to have my colleague Katerina with me because she is the one who needs to be happy. I'm owner of ServiceNow as well as being responsible first mentioned. But one of the final steps, do you see the white thing here? No. But one of the final steps now was the implementation of sfinx, and we will try to get you informed about what we did, why we did it, etc. So going through the contents, I will give you a little bit of information about the company. This is somehow important that you know how the financial flow will go within Wacker, that we are how we are organized and things like that. Also interesting for you might be the overall implementation path, mostly because you will see what we use out of ServiceNow. It's of course not only sfinx, even if you mentioned that, Andreas, that this is not necessary. However, I think this is one of the big benefits, the integration with other modules as well. And I will let you know what we use. Katerina will then go into the main part and give you information about the reasons, as you see here, the architecture and implementation project, and advantages, possibilities that we have. What do we get out of sfinx in the current implementation? We finally can also let you know what we think are the key success factors and the lessons learned within the project, and you're very welcome to ask questions. Now, first of all, information about the company. Normally, nobody knows us, but everyone has products from us. You will see that we have 4 categories of product, but this is the size of our company. We have...
your presentation is not moving.
Okay, I see already. So I have already the right slide. It's not. Maybe I stop sharing and share again. Like this. That's okay.
That looks good.
Okay. Well, I hope it works in the future. Okay, now, as I mentioned, Wacker is a company. We have around 16,600 employees. We have 27 production sites around the globe and 4 business divisions. The 4 business divisions will be explained on the next slide a little bit because you will see that they're all very different, which is important for the model that we implemented in ServiceNow. Let's go into those business divisions. We produce silicones, polymers, biosolutions, and polysilicon. As you can see here, in many of these areas, we are organized globally and under the biggest players concerning all these products. Now, what are the products used for? Just to give you an example, it's energy expansion. Well, silicones for grid expansion and energy transitions, things like that. Also for electronic equipment like cars and things like that. Silicones are not only used in Windows, but in many products that are out on the electronic market. Also, maybe not many people know that the hyperpure polysilicon that we produce is the raw material for wafers and chips, and probably half of all computer chips worldwide have products from our company. So we are not the bottleneck at the moment. You know that the market has a lack of memory chips and things like that. They are based on polysilicon, but the production of memory is the roadblock, not the polysilicon. Also, whenever you build houses, streets, whatever it is, the polymers are an important part of sustainable buildings. And the last one I want to mention is medicines, like vaccines and things like that. When mentioning that, I want to point out that also from financial point of view, we are organized very global, but split into 4 business divisions. And of course, those business divisions want to get answers from their financial situation, not mix them into each other. Probably also with many other companies. Now, how are we organized worldwide? You can also see, due to the percentage that we have the main parts in Europe and as well as Asia, mainly because of the chip industry. Also in America and others is only 5%. Now, the overall ServiceNow implementation path, and before I go into that, we have a central system, we have a centralized IT. So we are responsible for all the divisions as well as all areas and all systems. So all the data that we have and provide out of ServiceNow are global data, and all the information is in one platform. Like many other ServiceNow customers as well, we started with the service portal, followed immediately by IT service management, basic processes, incident management, problem management, request management, and things like that. Also from the very beginning, and that was also mentioned by Andreas, was demand management as first part of strategic portfolio management, because we did a redesign of all the services that we had. We implemented service-oriented environment based on CSDM 3.0. Philip mentioned that. We really stick to that model. We know we have to upgrade to 5.0 soon, but all the service models, the service catalog, the portfolio, also the application portfolio is definitely in our platform based on CSDM 3.0, using as far as possible out-of-the-box functionality. Based on that, and service portfolio management plays a big role also for the next step, IT financial management. We started with interfaces between Serviceware and ServiceNow. Actually, we'll see on the next slide, and Katharina will fill you in what we think about that. But the interfacing itself was not the biggest problem, but one problem, and the integration that we really see within ServiceNow is a big benefit. And IT financial management in terms of sfinx was the next step for us to go and to have another set of data in one single system. What we also see is that we start implementing OT and security, which is also something that is based on strategic portfolio management data, but in many cases also on financial data. And this integration of the system is one of the big benefits that we see when you do everything out of one platform. So this is an overview of what we currently use. And Katharina, now I hand over to you to tell the people about the motivation, because that was more on your end. Of course, we have implemented it on the platform, but the details from you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to apologize. I'm feeling a little bit under weather, so if my voice fails me, please forgive me. So on this side, I want to summarize why we started the sfinx journey. One of the reasons was we needed to replace Anafi from Serviceware, our previous ITFM solution. A new release change was introduced a couple years ago, which was much less stable and prone to more technical errors for us. It also required multiple interfaces, which made the entire landscape more fragile and required more manual work, which is always more prone for human error. Second, we wanted to provide end-to-end transparency for our top managers. As we are continuously improving our internal processes, the complexity of our services and cost structures is increasing. Therefore, we need to improve the way of reporting to the leadership in much clearer and more reliable view to support faster strategic decisions. Another driver was the need of more automation in our finance routines, especially areas like cross-charging. Chargebacks are responsibility of my colleagues from central controlling, so they would be able to tell you much more. However, as far as I'm aware, a lot of work used to be done manually. It was time-consuming and prone to errors. Data had been prepared in Excel prior upload to the previous system, and so on. Automation helps us free capacity, improve data quality, and simplify the process for the controllers. We also saw the opportunity to increase transparency around cost drivers and unit cost by integrating more tightly into our service portfolio. The combination of service portfolio data and financial data is crucial for understanding TCO more precisely and to reflect any changes immediately. And finally, we wanted to increase demand-based charging so that our consumption becomes more transparent and cost allocations becomes more accurate. This process isn't finalized yet, but we made step in the right direction. Altogether, those points created a clear case for modernizing our ITFM landscape, making it more flexible, automated, and also more agile. So next slide, please.
Okay, I guess I can give you some hints about the implementation project itself before Katerina can talk to you about the architecture and things, how we implemented Sphinx. The overall project was started by a POC. Andreas mentioned that a couple months, maybe years ago. We started to have a proof of concept with the first idea how to do that project. Being successful after 2 months, we started into the implementation of the cross-charging, which took around 4 to 5 months to have it really active, followed by budget planning beginning of 2025 with 2.5 months duration. And now we talk about improvements that Katerina will also tell you something about, followed in the following phase that is still ongoing. So from an architectural point of view, you can see here that we have the idea of system integration. And what we talk about is the strategic portfolio management again, enterprise architecture, and then Sphinx with the just mentioned capabilities. But Katerina, you might add some words on the architecture here.
Can we maybe move to the next slide?
Okay, yes, of course.
Yes, please. Good. This slide summarizes the strategic objectives we defined at the beginning of the project, as our goals were intentionally broad because we were not just replacing a tool, we wanted to raise the maturity of our entire IT financial management landscape. First, as a part of abandoning serviceware, we wanted to enable IT budget planning directly in Sphinx, especially multi-layer service cost calculation, using out-of-the-box functionality wherever it was possible. That reduces custom development as well as additional costs and make all upgrades faster and easier. But naturally, we also need multiple adjustments and customizations to meet our internal processes. Therefore, for example, chargeback, we decided to design a Wacker-specific chargeback process as a custom extension on top of Sphinx. This was necessary because of our internal rules and complexity and stakeholder expectations, as I mentioned previously. The finance planning program shift was a great opportunity for us to improve the existing process. A major objective was automation of data flows, both for service costing and for chargeback. Manual data preparation had to end. With Sphinx, we aim for integration with the service portfolio and the ability to automatically pull all consumptions and the relationship data. Of course, it brought multiple challenges, but on that later. Another part of improvement process was strengthening our platform strategy. We wanted fewer interfaces, less duplication, and one consistent source of truth. Beyond that, we wanted to lay the foundation for future tasks, such as forecasts and integration of actuals controlling. And in the long term, we want to empower other ServiceNow applications with accurate financial information. All of this leads toward our long-term goal, building a 360-degree CIO dashboard, which would be fully integrating services, operations, performance data, and of course, financials. At the moment, we have to create dashboards on various other platforms such as Tableau or SAP Analytics Cloud. Next one, please. Yes, so now let me summarize what we have already achieved. We successfully delivered all the major functionalities we needed: IT planning, service costing, chargeback. This allowed us to fully retire Serviceware. So we are running purely on sfinx now. We now have a fully integrated service portfolio inside ServiceNow, including both relationships and quantities. Combined with service costing, this gives us end-to-end transparency of cost flows across the entire IT landscape. We also reduced service cost calculation time from overnight processing to about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the scenario, whether it's simple or full cost run, so on. And that makes planning cycles faster and scenario analysis much more flexible, as we can trigger the calculation anytime during the day, and it doesn't influence the ability of planners to keep working in the system. In the upcoming version, which should be delivered any day now, entire performance of the system should be improved, which was one of the teething pains we experienced during our last planning period. We also eliminated manual consolidation for chargeback as planned. All the required data is now pulled automatically from ServiceNow, which reduces errors, speeds up closing, and simplifies controllers' work at the busiest period, end of months. During this transition, we thoroughly reviewed and improved our consumption data and introduced automated data quality checks. Thanks to that, we found some historical flaws in the reporting. Therefore, current data is even more accurate. So at the moment, once chargeback reporting is ready, controllers just receive an email notification and they review data. If they're happy, they simply publish it and export relevant report, and it's done. Another area where we significantly improved is the management of master and planning data across financial periods, as most of them are automatically updated and simply extended to the next planning period. For plan admins like myself, there is much less effort to prepare the system for planning. And finally, as mentioned on the previous slide, we delivered strong foundation for best practice IT cost management, covering actuals, forecasts, supplier costs, and internal allocations as well. We would like to further develop and implement new functionalities, but on that later. Next slide, please. Yeah, of course, such a project does not come without challenges and some teething pain, as I already mentioned. First, we had to replace a very mature application, one that had evolved for many years and that users were used to. Especially for the planning data, we brought a different logic compared to Serviceware, where we had to introduce resource coin, service coin, stuffing. Ginter, if you can briefly switch to the next slide, please. As you can see here, in the results of the survey that we prepared at the end of the planning period, our planners accommodated to the system fairly easily, as in IT, most users were already familiar with ServiceNow handling, and we paid special attention to the trainings and user support. So back again, please. Yes, so during the side-by-side run, the sfinx and Serviceware, a number of data inconsistencies became visible. For example, differences between LV users and ServiceNow user table. Uncovering and resolving these issues took time and effort, but thanks to colleagues from Ginter's team, thank them for their assistance again. We managed it, and it also improved our data quality for the future. Another challenge was achieving the same degree of reporting flexibility users were used to from the old system. We needed to balance out-of-the-box functionality with custom extensions, and we are still negotiating some further custom reports. We also had to address several usability topics. Users had to they had established routines in the old system, so change management and proper onboarding were essential. And finally, performance, especially when entering or changing planning data, it posed some limitations. Some of these were due to ServiceNow's platform constraints, so we had to work creatively to optimize. However, good news, in the upcoming sfinx version, we were promised better performance, so we look forward to it already. Okay. Yes, one further, please.
Okay. Well, I can now give you some hints about the outlook, what we want to do during the next periods, because what we see is that we are, in terms of service portfolio, now in front of AI capabilities and things like that. One of the basics are financial data that we have available now. And now we can think about things like predictive demand management, predictive project management, to have forecasts and things like that. This is not implemented yet, but this is what we want to have in the future. Same thing with higher automation within the planning process. Whenever you have financials available in the same system, you of course can take these data together with the service portfolio and things like that and see how to automate things. And there is other proposals how to improve our service landscape. That's just to give you a hint where we are at the moment. We are not done yet. The improvements are not implemented yet, but we also want to do this in an integrated way in many more areas. This is the next step that we defined. Because of that, we want to increase the system integration. To give you an example, to really see all the incidents coming along based on the services and have a connection there. We also want to integrate this into our future strategy to use end-to-end processes over the company. And even at that time, questions also to the team of Katharina and Stefan come. What of the financials if we go from our department-based viewpoint to an end-to-end process viewpoint? That can be changed now because we are in the same system. From ITFM point of view, we want to integrate operations, EA and ITFM to enable better decision-making and even automated decision-making. And also one of the next big steps, I guess you know that, bringing the actuals to sfinx, because we have them still in SAP. We don't want to move everything into sfinx, not to get me wrong, but we want to have comparisons and reporting, as Katharina mentioned already, which means we need the actuals in sfinx as well. Now to last slide, key success factors. Well, first of all, we think that it is really necessary to have a clear definition of the overall strategy. How do things integrate? Of course, sfinx is a standalone system as well, but the real power of these systems come to the surface when you integrate these systems within ServiceNow. Also, one thing that is easily said but not done in some areas is use standards and out-of-the-box functionality, because whenever you limit functionality of old systems and you need to tell people, well, this is critical, this is an exception, they are not happy about it. but we put a lot of effort to use out-of-the-box functionality in many, many cases. Integration of system is already mentioned, and one thing should not be not mentioned here. It's the quality of data. Somehow, during the presentations and during in between lines, the quality of data is key to success in many cases. And if the data don't fit together, like the cross-charging and things like that, it cannot be done automatically. Now we are a big step further, and the quality of data will help us in the future to do things automatically. And also very important, communication to stakeholders, because, and this is the last slide now here, as you can, some ports are double, sorry about that. But the communication to stakeholders was also very important for us, because we had another system. And whenever you have any doubts that the results of our questionnaire is not good enough, this was the first step. And moving from one system to another system is not very easy due to our experience. But it worked smoothly. And this is something that we took care of from the very beginning, communicate to stakeholders and let people know what we are doing. Now, these are the lessons learned or the key success factors. And Katarina might something from your point of view.
Absolutely. Yeah, so first I would like to mention the strong onboarding and user support. During the planning period was absolutely critical. As I mentioned previously, the logic of our previous financial system was very different. This support was necessary and also highly praised by our users in the previously mentioned survey. We provided online trainings, support manuals, as well as daily support session for ad hoc issues. Second, sticking to standards and out-of-box functionality wherever possible really paid off. It simplifies upgrades, improves long-term stability, and speeds up the processes of implementation. But we still need some customization. It's inevitable. Third, the integration ITFM on the ServiceNow platform enables us to automate many processes across multiple applications and provides a common data lake, which brings new possibilities in future. And as was mentioned previously, it became very clear that data quality is key. High quality data makes automation possible, and automation is what reduces effort and prevents errors. I think the communication to stakeholders has already been addressed by Ginter. So
I think especially the lessons learned and key success factors are really the same from financial point of view as from the platform point of view, but they are really key to success. And now we are open for questions.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mabek. Yes, thank you, Katarina and Günther, for this presentation and sharing your journey, your challenges, and what you gained with us. We are a little bit late, so break will start in 5 minutes. We do have a couple of questions. I think most of these questions you have already touched on in your presentation, but I read them out anyway, and you can probably emphasize on this. So the first question was, what were the main challenges you encountered during the implementation, and how did you overcome them with your partners PlanHorizon and Alex?
Yeah, and I can talk from a user perspective. One thing was the performance, which was already addressed and should be resolved in the next release. So
yeah,
thank you.
It is a result. I can show that.
Exactly, exactly. So I think for the new users, it won't be a problem anymore. And probably the introducing the system to the planners. Yeah, it was the biggest difference because the logic was different. But as I said, with the extensive training and extensive support, we really managed it very nicely. And in the feedback we got from a lot of users, they were even happier with the new system now.
Yeah, we always say the soft stuff, meaning talking to people, stakeholder management, organizational management. The soft stuff is the hard stuff. And if you address that properly, you will be successful. Second question, also already addressed, I think, maybe you can emphasize again, is how hard was the migration from ServiceWare, which is a different manufacturer, and to the ServiceNow-based sfinx. You mentioned that already. Maybe you want to put that together in one sentence again or so.
Yeah, like from the user point of view, it was mostly the handling of the system, but in the end, we really appreciated the fact that we were able to skip a lot of manual work. So all in all, the migration itself wasn't that difficult. Maybe Ginter can answer from the technical point of view, but from my point, the migration itself wasn't difficult. It was just training the users.
Maybe one very short story that helps to understand that the implementation was pretty easy. We had in mind to have kind of a parallel run of two systems. So have the cross-charging at the beginning of 2025 in Serviceware and have a mirror system, sfinx. Well, at the end of our testing period, we saw that both systems worked identical, or let's say 0.5% different, which is identical, and then we decided to shut down Serviceware immediately. That tells you a little bit how we did within the implementation phase, and the rollout. It was pretty smoothly, at least from a technical point of view, no problems.
Great. Maybe two comments from my side on whoever is wondering about performance in ServiceNow, performance problems. We had in the first version, actually, sfinx is a big number cruncher. If you do new planning and you want to compute your services TCO, where do what costs go, there are thousands and thousands of computing operations, and we do this in memory now, and it's a lot faster. And so a lot faster version will be at Wacker and is already at other customers. Another thing I would like to mention, it wasn't now mentioned by Katharina, but I hope it's okay for you. Especially at Wacker, we saw another big advantage of having a ServiceNow-native IT financial management. Wacker has a very good center of excellence for ServiceNow, as most customers have nowadays, doing different things and different modules, like with your colleagues, Constanze, etc. And of course, they can do changes and do some work on sfinx already if they see a showstopper where they need our help, we go in there. But that is almost never possible with other different technology ITFM tools. So it is ServiceNow, it is on the platform, it works the same way. You can work on that and have less of a dependency on external partners.